The morning everything went wrong, Sophia Chen's alarm clock sat silent on her nightstand, its digital display mockingly showing 8:47 a.m. when she finally jolted awake. The interview was at 9:30, and she was supposed to be there early to compose herself, not scrambling out of bed in a panic. No, 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 she whispered, her feet hitting the cold hardwood floor of her tiny studio apartment. The coffee maker, her one reliable morning companion, greeted her with a puddle of brown water and the acrid smell of burnt circuits. Perfect. 26 years old, and this was supposed to be her big break. Neotech Industries had somehow seen something in her modest resume that warranted a second interview. She still couldn't believe they'd called her back after the first round, where she'd stumbled through questions about brand strategy while trying not to stare at the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan. Her black blazer, the same one she'd worn to every important occasion for the past 3 years, hung on the back of her bedroom door. The fabric showed its age with small pills and a slightly faded sheen, but it was the most professional thing she owned. She'd bought it at a discount store during her senior year of college, dreaming of the corporate world that still felt impossibly far away. The subway ride into the financial district was a blur of delayed trains and crowded platforms. By the time she emerged onto the bustling sidewalk, the morning sun was already high, reflecting harshly off the glass towers that surrounded her like gleaming monuments to success. She squinted as she navigated through the sea of perfectly dressed professionals, each one looking like they belonged in this world of power suits and confident strides. "Please don't let this be the day everything falls apart," she whispered under her breath, clutching her worn leather portfolio against her chest. A businessman shouting into his phone nearly knocked her over, too busy with his important call to notice her existence. Her phone's GPS indicated she was only 2 blocks away from the Neotech building. 2 blocks between her and the most important 30 minutes of her professional life. With her modest degree from a state university and work experience limited to small marketing firms that barely stayed afloat, she felt like David preparing to face Goliath. As she turned the corner onto the street where the Neotech building stood, Sophia caught sight of herself in a storefront window. Her heart sank. Her shoulder-length black hair had been destroyed by the wind in her rushed morning. Her lipstick had somehow smudged during the subway ride, and there was something that looked suspiciously like toothpaste on her blazer lapel. She was a mess, and she was almost out of time. The unexpected mirror, that's when she spotted it. Pristine black Tesla parked directly in front of the Neotech building. Its tinted windows so perfectly clean they acted like mirrors, reflecting the morning light with crystal clarity. The car looked like it cost more than she'd made in the past 2 years combined. Sophia glanced around quickly to make sure no one was watching, then approached the passenger side window. The street was busy with the usual morning rush, but everyone seemed focused on their own destinations and phone calls. "Okay, Sophia, you've got this," she muttered to herself as she began using the car's window as an impromptu mirror. "Just fix yourself up and walk in there like you belong." She started by running her fingers through her hair, trying to tame the windswept mess into something resembling professional styling. The dark glass gave her a clear reflection, and she could see exactly how disheveled she looked. She reached into her small purse and pulled out her lipstick, carefully applying it while studying her reflection. As she was putting the finishing touches on her appearance, she realized her bra strap had somehow twisted during her frantic morning rush and was creating an unflattering line under her blazer. She looked around once more to ensure privacy, then began the delicate process of adjusting her undergarment through her clothing. She twisted slightly, trying to reach the stubborn strap that had somehow worked its way into the most inconvenient position possible. In her concentration on fixing the twisted fabric, she didn't notice the soft mechanical hum of the car window beginning to lower. "Having some technical difficulties there?" The unexpected voice made Sophia freeze mid-adjustment, her hands still awkwardly positioned under her blazer. Slowly, she turned her head to see the window had rolled down halfway, revealing a man who looked like he had stepped out of a luxury magazine advertisement. His dark hair was perfectly styled, swept back in a way that suggested expensive salon visits. His jawline could have been carved by a master sculptor, and his eyes held a mixture of amusement and genuine curiosity. He was wearing an impeccably tailored charcoal gray suit that probably cost more than Sophia's rent for 3 months. A slight smile played at the corners of his mouth as he waited for her response, his hands casually resting on the steering wheel of what she now realized was probably $100,000 vehicle. Sophia felt her face burning with embarrassment as she tried to think of something. Anything to say that might salvage this mortifying situation. I thought this. It was just a really expensive mirror, she finally managed. The man's smile widened, and she noticed he had the kind of teeth that only came from excellent genetics and probably some very expensive dental work. Well, it is a pretty good mirror, he said, his voice carrying a hint of laughter. I have to say, this is definitely the most interesting use of my car I've encountered. An unexpected kindness. Sophia wanted nothing more than to disappear into the sidewalk, but something about his tone put her slightly at ease. He wasn't mocking her. If anything, he seemed genuinely entertained rather than annoyed. I'm so sorry, she said, taking a step back from the car. I was just trying to look presentable for a job interview, and I didn't realize anyone was inside. Job interview, huh? He glanced toward the Neotech building. Let me guess, at the tech company that thinks they own this entire block? That would be the one, Sophia admitted, clutching her portfolio tighter. Though after this display of professionalism, I'm thinking I should probably just head home and save everyone the trouble. The stranger shook his head, and Sophia noticed. His eyes were a striking shade of green that seemed to shift between emerald and forest depending on how the light hit them. Don't be so hard on yourself. Everyone has moments like these. Besides, any company worth working for would appreciate someone who's resourceful enough to turn a car window into a grooming station. Resourceful? Sophia repeated with a laugh that bordered on hysteria. It's definitely going on my resume under special skills, creative use of reflective surfaces. You know what? The man said, reaching into his jacket pocket and pulling out a small pack of tissues. Here, you've got a little something on your blazer, pointed to the toothpaste spot she had noticed earlier. Sophia accepted the tissues gratefully, dabbing at the spot while trying to maintain what little dignity she had left. Thank you. You're being incredibly kind to someone who just violated your personal space, and probably your car's personal space too. Trust me, this is the most interesting thing that's happened to me all week, he replied. And for what it's worth, you look fine. Professional. Put together. Well, except for the mild panic in your eyes, but that's probably normal for job interviews. As Sophia finished cleaning the spot on her blazer, she glanced at her phone and felt her stomach drop. She was now 20 minutes late. Oh no, I'm really late now. I have to go. Hey, the stranger called as she started to hurry toward the building entrance. Good luck in there. Remember, if they're smart enough to hire you, they'll see past a little morning chaos. Sophia turned back briefly to wave her thanks, but the car window was already rolling up. She caught a glimpse of him watching her in the side mirror as she walked toward the building, and she felt an unexpected flutter in her stomach that had nothing to do with interview nerves. The Neotech Industries building was even more intimidating, up close than it had appeared from a distance. The lobby was all polished marble and gleaming metal, with a reception desk that looked like it belonged in a spaceship. Sophia approached the young woman behind the desk, trying to project confidence despite feeling like she was walking into an alien world. I'm here for an interview with the executive team, she said, giving her name and watching as the receptionist's fingers flew across her keyboard. Of course. Miss Chen, please take the elevator to the 42nd floor. Mr. Cross is waiting for you in conference room A. As Sophia rode the elevator up, she tried to calm her racing heart and push thoughts of the mysterious car owner out of her mind. She had more important things to focus on, like convincing one of the most successful tech companies in the city that a small-town girl with big dreams was exactly what they needed. The shocking revelation, the elevator doors opened to reveal a sleek hallway lined with floor-to-ceiling windows that offered breathtaking views of the city below. Sophia found conference room A and paused outside the door, taking one final deep breath before knocking. Come in, came a familiar voice from inside. Sophia pushed open the door and stepped into the conference room, her prepared smile freezing on her face as she saw who was sitting at the head of the long mahogany table. It was him, the man from the car. The stranger who had witnessed her morning meltdown and offered her tissues and encouragement. He was no longer in his car, but he was very much still in his expensive suit. And now she could see the full effect of his presence in a professional setting. He commanded the room without even trying, his confident posture and direct gaze making it clear that this was someone used to being in charge. "Miss Chen," he said, standing and extending his hand with that same amused smile she remembered from the car window. "I'm Damien Cross, CEO of Neotech Industries. I believe we've already been introduced, though perhaps not in the most conventional way." Sophia felt her knees go weak as the pieces clicked into place. The expensive car, the perfect suit, the confidence. Of course, he was the CEO. Of course, the universe had decided to play this particular joke on her. She stood frozen for a moment before remembering to extend her own hand for the handshake. "Mr. Cross," she managed, her voice sounding steadier than she felt. "I should apologize again for this morning." "On the contrary," Damien said, gesturing for her to take a seat across from him. "Should thank you. That was the most genuine interaction I've had in months. Most people are so busy trying to impress me that they forget to be themselves." Sophia settled into her chair, noticing that Damien's eyes held the same warmth they had shown during their sidewalk encounter. Despite the intimidating setting and her mortification at the situation, she found herself relaxing slightly. "Oh," she said, placing her portfolio on the table. "I can guarantee you that what happened this morning was definitely me being myself." "Unfortunately," Damien laughed, a rich sound that filled the conference room and made Sophia's heart skip in a way that had nothing to do with professional anxiety. "Miss Chen, I have a feeling this is going to be a very interesting interview." "So," Damien said, his voice carrying a professional tone that somehow still held traces of the warmth from their sidewalk encounter. "Your background is in marketing, but you've applied for our senior brand strategy position. It's quite a leap." Sophia found her confidence returning as she spoke about her passion for innovative marketing approaches. "I believe the best strategies come from understanding real people, not just demographics. When I worked at Sterling Communications, I increased client engagement by 40% simply by making their campaigns more relatable." "Impressive," Damien nodded, making notes on her file. "But this position requires someone who can handle high-pressure situations, work with demanding clients, and maintain composure under stress." Despite herself, Sophia laughed. "Mr. Cross, you've already seen me at my most stressed, and I managed to hold a conversation while adjusting my undergarments in public. I think I can handle demanding clients." The comments surprised them both. Damien's pen stopped moving, and for a moment, they simply looked at each other. Then he began to laugh, a genuine, delighted sound that transformed his entire face. "You know what, Miss Chen? You're absolutely right." He closed her file and leaned back in his chair. "Most candidates spend this interview trying to convince me they're perfect. You're the first person who's ever used public embarrassment as a qualification." The unexpected offer of the interview continued for another hour, but the dynamic had shifted completely. Damien asked challenging questions about market analysis and brand positioning, and Sophia found herself responding with insights that surprised even her. She spoke about humanizing technology, making innovation accessible, and creating emotional connections between products and people. "I've been developing a campaign concept called Tech for Real Life," she explained, pulling out a folder from her portfolio. "Instead of focusing on specifications and features, we highlight how technology solves actual human problems. Like this mock-up for your new productivity app. Instead of showing charts and graphs, we show a working mother finally having time to read bedtime stories to her kids." Damien studied the material she had prepared, his expression growing more interested with each page. "This is exactly what we've been missing," he said finally. "Our marketing has been too focused on impressing other tech companies instead of connecting with real users." "The best marketing doesn't feel like marketing at all," Sophia said, her confidence fully restored now that she was in her element. "It feels like someone understanding your problems and offering genuine solutions." When the interview concluded, Damien walked her to the elevator. "Miss Chen, I'm going to be direct with you. I've interviewed dozens of candidates for this position, and most of them had more impressive credentials than you do on paper." Sophia's heart sank. Here it came, the polite rejection. "But none of them showed me the kind of authenticity and innovative thinking you've demonstrated today, both in the interview and, frankly, this morning on the sidewalk." The elevator doors opened, but neither of them moved toward it. "I'd like to offer you the position," Damien continued. Senior Brand Strategy Manager, starting Monday. The salary is $90,000, plus benefits and stock options. Sophia stared at him, certain she had misheard. I'm sorry, what? The job is yours if you want it, though I do have one condition. What's that? Damien's smile returned, the same. One that had put her at ease that morning. Promise me you'll keep being yourself. No corporate masks, no pretending to be someone you're not. The authenticity you showed today, that's what this company needs. Sophia felt tears prick her eyes as the magnitude of the moment hit her. Mr. Cross, I accept. And I promise, what you see is what you get. Good, he said, extending his hand. Once more, welcome to Neotech Industries, Sophia. I have a feeling you're going to change everything around here. As the elevator doors closed and Sophia descended toward the marble lobby, she couldn't help but smile. Sometimes the worst mornings led to the best days. Sometimes being completely yourself, even at your most embarrassing, was exactly what the world needed to see. 3 months later, Sophia's Tech for Real Life campaign would win the industry's most prestigious marketing award. 6 months later, she would be promoted to Vice President of Brand Strategy. And exactly 1 year later, she would marry the CEO who had seen her at her worst and decided it was actually her best. But that morning, stepping out onto the Manhattan sidewalk with a job offer that would change her life, Sophia simply whispered a thank you to the universe for broken alarm clocks, failed coffee makers, and the unexpected kindness of strangers who turned out to be so much more. The end.